Hi, I'm Dan Hegstead. Welcome to my vlog and podcast, Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving. Well, this is a difficult time, and we've been having a lot of difficult times lately, and I want to talk about that. Now, normally my vlog and podcast is, you can view and watch it anytime. You don't know when it was recorded, but today is a little different. Today is Memorial Day 2022, and we are having a lot of discussions about the latest mass killing in Uvalde, Texas. And a week before that, it was Buffalo, New York. And I want to talk about that today. And it's pretty tough. People are saying, well, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? Why can't we have some common sense gun control measures? And I don't have any answers, but I do have some thoughts. I have 3 thoughts for you today. First of all, common sense, nobody really agrees on what that is, although I'm seeing some polls that show really strong support for a few basic things, background checks and waiting periods and so forth. We can figure this out. We can do something. I think one of the problems is we don't trust ourselves anymore. We don't trust the government. My parents lived through the Depression and World War II, and they really banded together, and they saved the world. They really did. But then came Vietnam. And, they say the generals are always refighting the last war, and they found out those tactics didn't work from World War II and Vietnam. So what did they do? They lied to us. They lied to get us into the war, and they lied during the war. It was a huge credibility problem. Then came Nixon and Watergate. He just flat out lied to us. He said, I'm not a crook. He was a crook. He really was. He did some pretty good things still, but he was a crook. He lied. You could go on and on. To Iraq, there's weapons of mass destruction. They lied to us. And so when Ronald Reagan came along and said, you can't trust the government, you can't argue with that, they lie to us. They really do. And that's a problem. And I think that's part of what's gotten us to where we're at. I'm going to talk more about that in just a little bit here. But point 2, I'm going to go back to how our brain works. Now, this is so important. The more I get into this, it's part 2 of my book, the Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving. Part 2 is the operator's manual for your thinker. You need to know how your brain works. It's part of everything I teach these days. And so you should go back and, you should buy the book, clearly. It's on Amazon as a paperback and Kindle and an audiobook read by me. But basically it says, for our purposes, I break the brain down into 2 parts. There's the base brain, the reptilian brain, the what I call the safety brain. This is the part that just keeps your lungs and heart going and all that. But it's I call it the safety brain because it's looking for things in danger, and that's all it cares about is keeping you safe. It doesn't think. It doesn't rationalize. It just sees everything in black and white. Things are either this or that, and it doesn't care about any nuances or anything. That's what your higher brain is for. Now, your base brain will carry you through life okay. You'll live and survive, and you'll eat and whatnot. But your higher brain needs to be engaged intentionally. And once you do that, then you have some thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe, this keeps me safe, but how safe do I need to be? You get to do some rational thinking there. And so that's what I'm advocating for. Engage this brain, use it, and it really gets you out of that fight or flight and total fear mentality. So this base brain is where a lot of people everything goes through that and sometimes doesn't get to logic. And right now, gun safety, gun issues are being exploited by politicians, and you need to get out of that. Okay? They're telling you if we have any regulations on guns, they're going to come and take every gun away from you. Well, we know that isn't true, but that's what they're saying. The former president actually said that on Friday. We can't have any regulation because that'll lead to a total ban. They're coming for your guns. And it's just not true. You need to get out of that. They're exploiting it. Okay, your base brain wants a perfect solution, and there is no such thing. Perfect solution is an oxymoron. Only a best solution is possible. To find a best solution, you need to engage your higher brain. So base brain says there's either a perfect solution or none whatsoever. Now, I heard a politician the other day saying, well, there's no sense in any regulations because the bad guys aren't going to follow the law anyway. And your base brain goes, yeah. Well, it doesn't even think about it that much. It just kind of makes sense. Yeah, bad guys don't follow the law. Well, you engage your higher brain just 1%, and you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would we have any laws at all if, well, bad guys don't follow them, so there's no sense in having any laws? I mean, it's ludicrous, but they are out there saying that. And you need to engage your brain and go, wait a minute now. No, we can do this. There is a solution. Point 3, we can do something. We really can. And you do what you can. I say get a hold of your elected representatives. Even where they stand on issues, it doesn't matter. They may not listen to you, but they'll know you called. And you tell them what you think. And that does too. They maybe not change their mind, but it'll let them know what you think. And you need to do that. It's important. It's important. The other part is, remember, the government isn't them. The government is us. You need to get out of this. It's them. It's their problem. No, it's us. And if it's not working, it's our fault. And you need to get in there and get engaged and make some changes. Do what you can to make some changes. Now, in my town here, we're having March for Our Lives in a couple of weeks, and we're going to get out there and we're going to make signs and we're going to march a few blocks and march up and down the street. Now, do I have any belief that the national politicians are going to see this and go, wow, gee, they turned out a fair amount of people in that little town in the middle of Minnesota. Maybe I should rethink this. Well, of course, that's not going to happen. But what is going to happen is that those of us that believe change is possible, reasonable change, are going to see that, wow, there's a number of people in this group. I'm not alone. Those that are opposed are going to see that there's a fair amount of people, reasonable, rational people who believe that some reasonable, rational change is possible. And, there is that. It is worth your time. And I'm hoping we're going to get some people who've never marched before to get out there and march. I also want to remind you that even if we make some progress on gun safety, the world is still going to be a pretty tough place. Really. I mean, things aren't going to get just a whole lot better overnight. Awful things are still going to happen. There's going to be war and pestilence and, ignorance and corrupt politicians are still going to be part of our lives. But that just because you can't make it perfect doesn't mean you don't do the best you can. You get out there and you try and you do what you can. There's going to be no end to these issues, but you find some balance. The hard part is, my tagline is, I'm here to help, but I'm also committed to living in reality. And it could be pretty frustrating. But how do you get involved in these things and you get mad as hell, but not let it poison your soul? That is a challenge, but that's what we're up against. That's what we are doing when we're transforming from coping to thriving. We're at the top of the pyramid. We're dealing with some pretty lofty issues here. Listen to what we're talking about is how to do your part in massive change, but not let it poison your soul. There's a lot of people that are not engaged at this level. This is a great place to be, folks. If you care, you're hurt. You do. But you can't completely disengage from the world either. I can't care and I can't not care. Well, there's a tension for you that'll hurt a lot. I ran across this great quote from Andrew Boyd a couple years ago, and I was so glad to read this. This is wonderful. It's not a solution, but I love his elegant words, and it is so true. Andrew Boyd said, "Compassion hurts. When you feel connected to everything, you also feel responsible for everything, and you cannot turn away. Your destiny is bound with the destiny of others. You must either learn to carry the universe or be crushed by it. You must grow strong enough to love the world, yet empty enough to sit down at the same table with its worst horrors." That's asking a lot of us, folks. But we're at the top of the pyramid. We are in self-actualization. These are the kind of issues you and I are dealing with. As tough as it is, this is a good place to be. Now, I don't know that I'll ever find the right balance. Well, I'm sure I never will find the right balance between caring and not caring and self-care and so forth. But I feel it is an extremely worthy effort. This is a good place to put your energy. So I do what I can. I speak. I make these vlogs and podcasts. I write. Got my book. I'm out there. By the way, if you need a speaker, I'm available. danhegstead.com. But when I'm done with that, I go for a bike ride. I pet my dog. I find my tribe. I get with my wife and we sit and we talk. We go for a drive. No radio, no tunes, that's what we do. We can't fix everything. We do what we can and then go to recharge. That's important. You must grow strong enough to love the world, yet empty enough to sit down at the same table with its worst horrors. Do what you can, do what you need to do, and let it go. And, I know it seems like the world's going to hell, but if you look at history, the world has been going to hell for an awful long time, and we haven't gotten there yet. I think we've come pretty close, but we're not there. And I think we're actually going the other way. I mean, what we hear are the problems of the world because that's what matters. We need to fix things. But when you look at almost every measure, incomes and healthcare and poverty and starvation rates and all those sorts of things, it's getting better, and sometimes significantly so. We need to remember that. The efforts we are putting in are paying off, not like we'd like, not as fast, but really. We were talking about the effort to end polio today. Polio is almost gone from the world, and that's the tremendous effort of a lot of people, World Health and Bill Gates and the Rotary International and a bunch of other folks. We're making some real progress. There are people who aren't afraid to take on some of these big issues, and they're making progress. We need to remember that. I know a lot of this doesn't matter to those, massacred in Uvalde or Buffalo or Las Vegas or Sandy Hook. But I think we need to do what we can. We pray for those folks. We pray for ourselves. And then we fight for real change, but we need to be careful not to let that fight and that hate become poison. We need to engage our higher brain and turn that from poison into fuel to propel us to help foster change. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Dan Hegstead. My book is Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thrive.